We've seen it before. The call for international intervention as a humanitarian disaster threatens to unfold. We're seeing it again with Libya, but almost nothing is being done. Stuart Holliday served as ambassador to the United Nations for Special Political Affairs. He was one of the youngest people ever appointed as a U.S. ambassador. Today, he's president of the Meridian International Center, the nation's premier public diplomacy organization. Ambassador Holliday is with us to talk about the options for Libya. He's in Washington this morning. Mr. Ambassador, I hope you don't mind if I call you Stuart. I would like to know whether you believe at this point the window of opportunity has effectively closed, at least for a no-fly zone. Either international forces intervene directly with military force or nothing.
I think we're within a 24 to 48 hour window. If we can't get the resolution today at the UN to act decisively in the next 24 to 48 hours, Qaddafi's forces stand a good chance of retaking Benghazi, and that's why it's so essential that we act in a matter of hours, not days or weeks.
Hours. We have only hours left. Stuart, in your mind, is it fair to compare this situation with what happened in the Balkans, with Kosovo, with what happened concerning the Kurds after the first Iraq war?
Well, I think ultimately you have to look at the UN's action on the issue and then what, at the end of the day, had to be done, with the United States leading in effect, an effort outside of the United Nations framework in some cases to actually relieve pressure on the civilian population. In both cases, the help came arguably too late. In this case, there's still an opportunity to protect the civilians in the region and to try to create the kind of dynamic which would see Qaddafi unable to dislodge the rebel movement from eastern Libya.
Stuart, does the situation unfolding in North Africa make this a much more difficult decision? It's not like we have an ally that we can identify any longer in Egypt. Hosni Mubarak is gone. There's a provisional government. They're going to be holding a constitutional referendum this weekend. Very difficult to know exactly who you're dealing with in that region. And, of course, there continues to be unrest in places like Morocco. We've seen these things play out in Tunisia and across the Middle East. How much of a factor is that?
It's a big factor. It's tricky. You know, the Arab League resolution helps. That's the resolution which the Amr Moussa, who's actually running for president of Egypt, but led a statement in which the Arab League supported a no-fly zone, which is a big deal, actually, when you look at the history of the resistance to intervention or military action in the Middle East. The challenge is the United States, our naval forces, our air forces are fundamentally essential to any activity. And you have, again, the Turks, you have others in the region saying that this would have a long-term negative consequence. So I think any action we take has to be in the context of not only Arab League support, but also including our friends and allies in the region.
Would you go so far, Stuart, as to say that the United States should, if necessary, take unilateral action in Libya, or is that going a step too far for this president in this situation?
I think it's a question of what that unilateral action is. If there's a large-scale genocide, ethnic cleansing, as the Libyan representative of the UN has alleged, I think we have an obligation to do so, and I think we have an obligation to do so to protect civilians. Of course, the resolution that we're going to seek today hopefully goes beyond a no-fly zone and looks at actually trying to counter some of the artillery and tank activity that you see massing in eastern Libya, and that will make the final push on Benghazi.
Stuart, thank you so much for joining us here on the Inside Track.
Thank you very much.
That's Stuart Holliday. He's a former ambassador, president of Meridian International Center, the nation's premier public diplomacy organization. He says we have hours, not days, not weeks, to act if we are going to accomplish something in Libya.